Hello, and welcome back to the BFA Baby Podcast Season 2. I'm your host, Taylor Hartman, and this is our first sit down in the bedroom corner, just one-on-one conversation episode of Season 2, and I'm really excited to start the season off with an episode that I wish I had in high school. I was trying to think of like a snarky little tagline, not even snarky, but like a cheeky little kitschy tagline for this, and the best I could come up with is, this is the episode to listen with your parent. Like, listen to with your parents. This is the episode to play with your parents. This is the episode to share with your parents. This is the episode to, reassure you and remind you that it is possible to get a job after school with this, with your BFA. Even if it's always felt possible to me, it's always like, this is what I'm gonna do, and that's it. But it doesn't always feel that possible to the people around you. So I think having someone that's in it and someone that's doing it and someone that is making money doing what she wants to do, I think that this is the episode to listen with your parents. So hi parents, welcome if this is your first time on the BFA Baby podcast. My name is Taylor Hartman. I am currently getting my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in dance performance with a double minor in theater arts and one in advertising at Missouri State University. I graduate in May of 2026, and I currently work and I perform and I audition and I chase the dream. I have plans to move to New York after school. I'm doing everything I set out to do. So, hi parents, if you're listening, this episode is going to be about jobs you can get with your BFA, some tips I've learned about working and kind of framing the idea of a working artist, especially framing the idea of a quote-unquote starving artist. We'll get into all of that. And a big goal of mine, if you don't know, a big goal of mine for season 2 is to branch out into other BFA aspects. I'm a dance major, I have a theater minor, that's kind of where my heart lies, but I really want to spend some time on the podcast getting to know the more musical side of things and, so kind of add in a few different perspectives. So today we will be focusing on careers you can get with a BFA in dance, a BFA in theater, and a BFA in music, and then we'll be talking some general career things. So I think that's really all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed last week's interview with Goldie. She's so lovely at Lazy Ballerina Club. Literally the best season kickoff I've ever had. And yeah, so welcome to our first one-on-one. Hopefully we have a lot more interviews coming up in season 2. We definitely do. So let's rock and roll. We're going to start where my heart is, and I kind of pulled a lot of these off the top of my head, and we can kind of like hop back and forth. And a lot of these are interchangeable within your field. Give me just a second. I had to leave to get water, sorry. A lot of these are interchangeable within your field. Like a job I mentioned for someone with a BFA in something musical, you could find a way to make it work with your dance BFA. A lot of it kind of exists in the same world. So let's start where my heart is, and let's talk about some things you can do with your BFA in dance. This also comes from my freshman year at MSU. I took a class called Introduction to the Profession. It was either called Intro to the Profession or Intro to the Industry. But basically it was all about careers that you can have as a dance major. And it really helped me structure this outline. Structure my outlook on what I want to do, and yeah, so I thought I would kind of welcome you to an Introduction to the Profession class. So buckle up, let's take a listen. So first off, with your BFA in dance, some jobs you can have. You can obviously be a dancer, you can be a professional performer, you can be a choreographer, you can be an arts administration manager, you can be an artistic director, a stage manager, a dance teacher. You can also use those teaching skills to teach things like Pilates or yoga, other types of fitness. You can be a physical therapist. You can be a dance videographer or photographer. And these all sound like right off top of the brain, but you can really branch out these things. You can be a dancer in a concert company. You can be a dancer in music videos. You can be a dancer in theme parks. You can be a dancer in commercials. You can be a dancer for television. You can be a dancer for movies. Same thing with choreography. You don't just have to choreograph for the stage. You can do fight choreography for theater or television. You can choreograph, like, we're going to talk about this in, like, the quote-unquote money portion, but especially if you have, like, skills and knowledge of other areas. Like, I know a couple dance majors that also know a lot about color guard. You can choreograph color guard shows, you know? You can choreograph, like I said, music videos. You know, a lot of things need movement choreography that you wouldn't think. So kind of branch out your thoughts here. So like jobs that fall under arts administration, you can do marketing, you can do sales, you can do, I think directing sort of falls into that, directing sort of falls under that umbrella, but I kind of see directing as its own thing, but live your life. Community outreach is another big one we talked about in our actual class. Art as a community builder, art for social change. You can, you know, extend dance to communities. You know, you can extend dance as therapy in schools, in retirement homes, at community centers. Think like one we have here is called like the X. I'm thinking like YMCA type. If you're from my hometown, the Renaud Center, like that type thing, like a community engagement center you could teach dance at, and that would be a really great place to kind of connect the community. For directing, you don't even have to just be the artistic director of a company. Like, that's something I would like to do. But you can also, once again, you can direct dance films. You can direct theater, like musicals you can be like the choreography director of a musical. You can direct television. You can direct children's work. You could become a studio owner. And all of these really fun things that involve that direction. Talking about being a studio owner, you could become a studio owner, and that kind of has a lot of different aspects to it. You're a choreographer, you're an admin, you're an administrator, you're a designer, you're theming. Like, I think owning a studio obviously is a lot of work. You are a business owner, but it is a really great like foot in the door, and it could be really, really great if you kind of want to get a taste of everything. And yeah, so being a studio owner is definitely like an idea, or like even just working at a studio. Like I said, like teaching, like that's what I do at school. I teach at a couple different studios, and I teach at a couple different studios, and that's been really exciting because, you know, I've gotten to kind of try my hand at choreography in a different type of venue, you know, choreographing for small kids who it's their first ballet class, or choreographing for teens that like maybe are going to go get their BFAs as well. You know, it's like working in a dance studio has been really fruitful for my career as a dancer here in college, as I've gotten to see the side of the industry that is very well a possibility for me. You know, I get to see it from another side, which has been really interesting. So definitely teaching dance, again, at a studio, at like a community center, whatever. Something else I want to talk about is like being an adjacent instructor. So like I said, like Pilates, yoga, fitness. Again, think outside the box. Like, I'm a Zumba instructor. I also teach Zumba. Zumba is like a dance cardio workout, and it really does like feel like I'm just going to dance and like have fun. And I let on record, I am on video saying this, but it's like I'm just teaching dance parties and I'm making money doing that. Like, that's so fun. And yeah, so I'm just like teaching dance parties and I'm making money to do that, and it's been fun. And it's been like it's been one of those things where, you know, it is kind of that creative, you know, because I like theme my classes and you get to do choreography and stuff, and teaching, it's a different angle, it's a different part of my brain that I kind of get to like stretch for that. But yeah, things that are in the world. a lot of students that are getting their BFAs in dance right now at my university are also getting some form of Pilates certification. It makes the money. It's a great way to also educate yourself on how to take care of your own body. Something else that dancers could be like super in tune to that they could enjoy teaching would be like PBT, progressing ballet technique, or like a bar class, like gyms that have bar classes. That's a really great way to make money. So just kind of like expand your mind on other things that are like dance adjacent that could both make you money and help you and your body dancing. Other thoughts on physical therapy. Dancers need PTs, and if you could assist a PT or learn to become a PT, I mean, obviously it's not like don't ever perform and go to PT school, but it's like, you know, if you could have like a back pocket, or even just like a receptionist at a physical therapy office, you know, you could learn stuff in passing, you know, the whole thing. Just kind of be in environments where your job will still help you. Obviously, the world isn't perfect, and of course you're gonna have to work the retail jobs and the food service jobs and like whatever, but the idea of, you know, potentially having a job that really helps your main career, that would be really, really exciting and really thrilling. And that is kind of the dream. That's the dream. It's the dream. Doesn't always happen, but it's the dream. So kind of start expanding your skill set now and see where you can get yourself. Lastly, I talked about dance, videography, and photography. This is becoming more and more popular with the rise of social media, which makes me sound ancient and old, but I promise you I'm 20 years old and I'm with it. I am young and cool and relevant. And yeah, you know, people need their dance on film. People need reels. People need reels. People need portfolios. You know, something that I'm kind of just now thinking of. You could set up like a Fiverr. If you don't know Fiverr, Fiverr's a website where you can like go and you can you can like pitch a service. Like anyone can pitch a service. Like if you have the skills, you can pitch a service. And basically you can just hire people to do stuff for you. So you could literally put a Fiverr up and be like, hey Fiverr, like put a Fiverr up and be like, I will make you a professional dance reel. I will make you a professional website. I will make you a dance portfolio. You can even Fiverr out choreography. Like I will choreograph a dance to a song of your choosing. You know, like thinking about like expanded ways to use your skills to help other people. I'm also thinking about like Take Lessons. That's the online service that I use to take voice lessons. You could start one of those for dancing. Like a one-on-one or like group classes could be really fun. Yeah, so just kind of expand your thoughts a little bit about like what a career with a dance degree could look like. I think it would be really, really awesome. Let's move on a little bit adjacent to what can you do with a BFA, a BA, whatever, in theater/acting. So a couple things that I threw out, they're kind of back and forth and can, once again, like I said, be transferable to dancing. But I said lighting technician, makeup artist, PA, prop artist, scenic artist, stagehand, drama teacher, designer, manager, company director, wardrobe supervisor, obviously actor. You could also be a writer if that's a skill set that you have. Again, kind of things that are adjacent to what you could do with a dance degree. But I think a big thing in theater is something to arm yourself with, which I am learning even as a dance major, like things to arm myself with are technical abilities. Like technical theater abilities will, you know, it's a skill that is kind of specialized, but if you even have like a basic knowledge of it, that's a step forward than someone who has zero knowledge of it, you know? So, you know, learning some lighting, maybe learning, if you're really good at painting, you could become like a set painter or like a prop designer. I have a couple friends that are really into prop designing, you know, and like just small little technician things that you could like help with or learn how to do. Like even if it's just like I paint sets for children's theater and I do that on the weekends, you know, like even just small little things to make money. I think PAs, like production assistants, this could look different between like you could be a production assistant for film, you could be a production assistant for television, you could be a production assistant for theater, you know, and that kind of gives you obviously a way in to see the creative process, but you know, you'll make money, you'll do the thing. Yeah, so you'll get to see the creative process, you'll get to help out, see what's around. Depending on the project, you know, that's kind of the joke that's like, oh, they get coffee for the directors. It's not that, but you are kind of just in an environment that kind of fosters creativity, which is always nice. I think a stagehand is also really interesting. When I think of stagehands, I think of my friend Bucky, who is his entire career, like what he wants to do with his theater degree is become like a load-in technician. Like he wants to hang all the shit and like load in and load out and do the like make it appear and make it disappear. He's very much like, I want to like set it up so like the actors can go play and then tear it back. Get high up in the sky and hang all the stuff and rig it all in the venues and travel and yeah, you know, so obviously again, as with a dancer, you can be an actor, you can be a performer, but again, think outside the box. You can be an extra in television and film, you can be in commercials, you can be a voiceover actor, you can be a birthday party actor, you can be commercials, television, birthday parties, you can be like, you can be one of those, it's called like a professional patient. Like, I want to get him on the podcast. We met a man named Doug Shapiro who came into our university when we did Crazy For You, and he was like in the show, and he gave us a couple acting labs, and he's like a professional patient. Like basically he just gets paid and he like has a little script and then helps med students like communicate with their like practice patients. He's like a professional practice patient. He does like business training, which is very much like, you know, that's your like, if this happens at work, like not to get dramatic, but like your Title IX acting skits, you know, he makes money doing that. You know, you could be in print ads, you know, you could write, again, if you're a writer, if you enjoy that, you could write theater, you could write reviews of theater, you can write for local art magazines or publications, or you could, you know, Larissa, who I'm hoping to get on the podcast, writes. She's a theater maker and she's a theater lover and she's a filmmaker and a film lover, and she also writes for like local publications about theater and film and art and culture and what's going on in the world and how it all ties together. And it's a really great way to kind of, one, flex a different creative muscle, and also, you know, kind of get your word out there. We also have drama teacher. You could be a drama teacher. This could be a drama teacher at a middle school, at a high school, at a college if you go get your MFA. You could be a drama teacher, again, like at a community theater would be a little more like directing, teaching, but if it's a community theater, like, so here in Springfield we have a thing called Springfield Little Theater, and it's like, it is a community theater, but they also have like an education department, so like you can also just take class there. So it could be something like that if there's like theater education within your local community theater, you could branch out and do something like that. Again, you could do online classes, like a take lessons type thing, or like a Fiverr, you know, like I will give you constructive criticism on your monologue type beat, you know. Definitely look into Fiverr, Fiverr. I'm thinking about starting a Fiverr, I really am. Yeah, so kind of expand that mindset about things you can do, because theater is everywhere. As cliche and silly and goofy as it sounds, like theater is everywhere, and you can find something everywhere to do it, especially with the breadth of technology and resources that we have today. You could do really a lot with a theater degree. And something else I wrote down that would be interesting and could also, I suppose, could also transfer to dance. A lot of these are kind of adjacent to each other. Wardrobe supervisor, I learned about this because I'm in a costume class right now. You could be a wardrobe supervisor, you know, you could like help with the costumes, help backstage, see a different angle of it. I'm taking it as a class, but I've really enjoyed being able to kind of see half of the show that I don't usually get to see. You know, I'm usually the one wearing the costumes. I don't really know about how they get made or what they do. You know, I get fit and then, oh, there's a costume. But like, it's been really fun to kind of like see the costumes, help make them, see the work and the love that goes into it on that side, so that the love that we put into the performance can shine. It's been a lot of fun. Again, kind of arm yourself with some like theatrical technician skills. It'll be a really great step forward. So now I have some BFA music jobs. So I'm gonna be so real, I had to look these up. I pulled some out of my head, but then some I was like, this just isn't my world. We're hoping to get some musicians on the interviews, but so some of these I looked up and I was like, this is not really my world, but some of these, again, you can kind of like pull through, and there's a couple that I want to talk about that I came up in my what can you do with a BFA in music research, and I was like, oh, that'd be really interesting to do for dance or theater as well, so we'll talk about that. So here's some that I kind of have for things you could do with a BFA in music. You could be an accompanist, you could be an arranger, again, like artistic director or administrator. You could be a band director. You could be a choral director. You could be a composer. You could be a conductor. You can be a transcriber. You can be a cruise ship entertainer, which we'll talk about. Online was like, you could be a DJ, and I was like, okay, sure, you could be a DJ if you wanted to. You could be a DJ. You could score for film. I think that kind of comes in with composing. I had written composing, and then my research was like, score for film, and I was like, I kind of think it's the same thing, but you know. You could become a historian. You could teach private music lessons. You could own and operate an instrument repair shop, and you could become a lyricist. So that's kind of a whole bunch of things I rattled off. I kind of want to talk about it in the terms of like, obviously, like expanding your brain, expanding your mind. You could be an accompanist for so many things. You could be accompanist at schools. You could be accompanist at colleges. You could be accompanist at like camps or intensives or rehearsals, you know, or like you could be part of a live orchestra at like a theater. I think something else that I hadn't really thought about is music and performance in non-performance spaces. You could play for a church. You could play for, I don't know, like a church really came up to top of my brain for like performance but non-performance spaces. So you could be part of a church, like not orchestra, but like band, you know. Arranger, obviously you arrange pieces. Again, you can be like an artistic director or an administrator. Specifically for music, it would be cool. You could work in like, I guess dancers and theater majors could do this too, but like music heavy, you could work for like concert venues. I was really thinking about concert venues, opera houses, music halls. Could be really interesting. You can be a band or choir director. This includes schools, universities. You could even be like a sport, like sporting, like college and school sporting teams have like pep bands, you know, marching bands type thing. Again, with choir, school, university, church choir director. Composer, it's composer, and like I said, like film score, I kind of think come in the same vein. You could compose for dances, you can compose for theater, you can compose for film or television, or you could compose for like royalty-free work. A great other thing that I think that you could Fiverr out. Start Fiverring is like what I think this podcast is teaching us. Something I think you could Fiverr out. Like, I will compose a jingle for your company's ad. I will compose a score for your short film. I will, you know, like whatever you want to do. Like, Fiverr that out. Oh, accompanist. Sorry, this just popped into my brain. You could accompany auditions. Like, just be the accompanist at auditions. That's fierce. I could never do that. You could be a conductor. I'm thinking of Maestro, the movie with the Bradley Cooper in it. And, you know, you see him conducting at schools and on huge stages, and you could be a conductor. You could be a transcriber. The first time I ever saw transcription happen live was in I took this voice class at school, and she just whipped that like so well. I was like, oh my god. So if you're really talented at that, start transcribing things. Fiverr, I will transpose your music, you know? Like, I will transpose your music. Cruise ship entertainer. Obviously, cruise ships need dancers, cruise ships need actors, cruise ships need musicians. Become a cruise ship entertainer. You get to see the world, I guess, and you'll have a job for at least 9 months out of the year. That's crazy. I just think it's really funny that it was DJ. Like, that's so hilarious to me. It's like, you got a degree in classical music? Crank the tunes. Like, that's so funny. Again, you could be an educator. And I think that also expands to teaching lessons. Again, take lessons or work at a music school, or like there are some places like earlier I talked about like you could work at a music store, like repairing instruments or selling instruments. Sometimes there's music stores that also teach lessons. You could like just kind of double whammy it all there. Something that came up in my research for this that I think would be really interesting to kind of play back and forth with is you could be a music historian, which I never really considered this, but like, yeah, you could be a music historian, you could be a theater historian, you could be a dance historian. I don't know a lot about that field. I've never truly considered it, but that is an avenue that I've seen little flecks of here and there. So if you're really into research and like compiling things, you might be able to look into like record keeping. I know for a fact the American Dance Festival has like an internship, and your entire job as an intern is to like keep up with the historical records and like add things to the records. So I guess if you're like into that, that could be really sick. Adjacent to the theatrical writing, you could be a lyricist. Again, we'll write you a song. I think we're all starting Fivers after this is really what this is. This is sounding like. Yeah, so obviously wide variety of things that you can do to make ends meet. Just kind of get a little creative. And obviously, it's not always going to be perfect that you're going to work a job that, you know, fits so flawlessly into, you know, your main job, your performance job. Oh, you could also usher for theaters, like professionally usher for theaters. That could work out really well. Professionally usher for theaters, I think like on the side could be a really great way to make money. Anyways, but you're obviously not always going to have that like perfect quote unquote side gig that like also fills your cup. And one of our professors always says, I work commercially to, you know, fund my concert habit. You know, she works in commercial dance. You know, she does the weird summer stock gigs about Texas, or, you know, like a weird circus thing, or like a children's community theater. You know, like the weird like one-off things, to have the money to do the bigger, more creative things. Things that might not make her any money, you know, but it's like fills that creative cup. So I always say, you have to do the creatively unfulfilling thing to fund what creatively fulfills you. And I honestly say that a lot about teaching the kids. I have a really hard time finding creative fulfillment in teaching little baby ballerinas. Not that I don't enjoy it. There are parts of it that I do enjoy, but I don't find that it like challenges me creatively, or like I feel really like empowered. I don't feel really like inspired most of the time about it. Not that I don't enjoy it, not that I'm not happy that it's my job, but you know, it doesn't fill the cup all the way, you know? So, but I do that to make money to be able to do these passion projects that do fill the cup, like my dance film or writing books or, you know, any other little like passion project I have, going and seeing comedy, you know, like things that you have to do the creatively unfulfilling thing to support your habit of being creatively fulfilled. And this is just, as I'm saying all this, it's just kind of an idea, like, being creatively fulfilled means something different to everyone else. If teaching little kids ballet creatively fulfills you and pays the bills, that's amazing. You know, but sometimes you're going to have to do things that don't necessarily fill that cup. So, a few things I want to talk about that I haven't talked about. Obviously, think outside the box of what your career can be. There's art everywhere. You just kind of sometimes need to look at it from a different angle to see where you can fit in. And something I did want to talk about is when you have to work a quote-unquote survival job, obviously like a job that makes the money that's not... I would personally say that is not artistically adjacent. This is your barista, this is your retail worker, this is your receptionist job, this is your, like sales. This is your like sit behind a desk and this is your like waiting for the big break job, you know, type beat. It's not always going to be perfect, like I said, but the best thing I think to think about is finding flexible hours, which obviously isn't going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But I think a great example of this would be like a theater usher, because that job starts in the evening, so then you can go to like the midday auditions, you know, or like teaching dance works really well for me in school because I'm in school all day and then I work at night, you know, so it works out really well like that. So flexible jobs, but even like that stupid retail job that you have to work, theoretically, if you have a bunch of coworkers, it might be easier for you to trade shifts to go to that last minute audition call than just completely being like, oh, I'm going to this audition, I'm going to lose out on money. You'll just swap shifts with someone, theoretically. You know, it's not always that easy, it doesn't always work like that, but sometimes if you are like, I have to just get a job until I find something that fills the cup, until I book the thing, until whatever, XYZ, trying to find a job with a big cast, with a big group of coworkers might make your life a hair easier because you have a lot of options then to kind of trade in and out with. And lastly, something I want to talk about regarding money is that it's fickle. It's fickle what we do in this industry. It's hard and it's tedious and it's not the easiest source of income, obviously, but something that's really kind of settled me in is the knowledge that a lot of the times it's not in your control. I mean, it's never in your control, but a lot of the times you're not getting cast because you're bad. You're getting cast because the costumes were made and now you're too short, or you're too short for the skirt that was already made, or they already have a girl in the cast that looks just like you, or my favorite, like, stupid example that's, like, never actually gonna happen is you look too much like the director's ex-girlfriend. Like, someone said that one time, like, as a joke, and it's, like, my favorite joke example is, like, damn it, I didn't get cast because I look too much like the director's ex-girlfriend. No, but, like, little stupid subjective things like that are more likely than not the reason that you didn't book said gig, you know, and the reminder that, like, you're not useless, you're not untalented, you're not stupid, you know, like, that's really critical, like, just kind of settling in and being like, okay, I learned this from this audition and I could improve here, but also, you know, like, especially if they, like, oh, I hate this. Especially when, like, audition processes are, like, leading you on, and it's, like, you're sending in all these callbacks, and you're like, I'm gonna get it, and then you don't, and it's just, like, ugh. It's just, like, such a gutting feeling. It's, like, yeah, like, that's just kind of a reminder that, like, hey, more likely than not, it wasn't your talent. It was something stupid that you can't control, you know? And yeah, I think that's really all I have to say about money and careers, and I hope this intro to the industry was inspiring. And if you are listening with your parents, I do kind of want to talk to the parents firsthand. Again, hi, I'm Taylor. Thank you for listening with your student or child, if you have been listening. I kind of wanted to leave this last little bit to say what I wish I had the words for at the time to talk to my parents about. It was a really hard thing for my parents to be like, we're gonna let you do this and go into this field where it's gonna be tedious and hard and you're not gonna make any money and blah 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 blah. You know, I come from a very traditional family, and I didn't really have the outlook or the, you know, vernacular at the time, but I do now, and I'm gonna tell you, on behalf of your child, whoever you're listening to this with, I'm gonna talk to you on behalf of them, from someone who's chasing the dream and someone who's doing it and someone who is learning and growing and struggling but evolving. And I just want to say that your child's passion for what they're doing will take them further than you'll ever know. You don't choose this career just to choose it. You know, this isn't like I'm 17 years old and I want to rebel, so I'm going to be an artist. Like, no, this is like a soul thing. This is a soul thing, and whether you believe in, like, energy or vibes or the universe or, like, whatever on earth you want to think, or God, or, you know, whatever, that passion, that drive, that energy, that's in them, in their soul, that's in their being, the fabric of their being. That's where that's coming from. And they're not doing this out of a place of rebellion or, like, I want to be different, or, like, they're not doing it out of a place of, like, I think disrespect is, like, the biggest thing. They're not trying to disrespect, you know, like, the education, you know, like the traditional, obviously traditional education. You know, it's out of a place of wanting to be fulfilled and knowing what sets your soul on fire. And they're doing it because they cannot see themselves doing anything else. And this is what makes them happy. And this is what sets their soul on fire. And this is who they are. And to be fully realized and fully functioning and fully living their life to the best and the fullest, the art is what they need to do. And no, it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard. I'm doing it and it's hard. But that love and that drive and that passion really keeps me going, even on days like literally today. I'm busy and working on things from 8 a.m. till midnight, and I have to get up for an 8 a.m. class tomorrow. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have my whole heart in it, if I didn't have my whole soul in it, if I didn't see this for myself. I guarantee you, the child sitting next to you, listening to this in the car, on the couch, at the kitchen table, wherever you're at listening to this, I guarantee you that kid sees themselves succeeding, sees themselves in whatever field they're going to be at. They know there's going to be that success for themselves. And if they're anything like any BFA student I've ever met, which I promise you they are, it's in their heart, it's in their soul, and they're not going to stop until they've done it for themselves. You know, it's not, if anything, this career is, it's selfish, but it's not a selfish in like a vain way. It's like, I'm going to put this work into myself to then be able to share it with other people. You know, we don't dance because we're selfish. You don't dance for your name in lights. You do it to share your love and your passion of art and storytelling and expression, and you use it to connect people and to speak your mind and make people feel seen in their experience or what they're feeling. And you create art, whatever it may be, dance, theater, music, whatever. You create art to be in touch with your own humanity and hopefully help people tap into theirs as well. And that might sound very like, whoo, up here. But that's truly it. And I don't know many, if any, artists that are doing this in college to be famous one day. Like, it'd be fun, you know, but you don't go into it thinking like that. This is not vain. This is discovery. This is furthering education. This is humanity at its finest. And that is why we are so hell-bent on doing this, so hell-bent on success, so hell-bent on the exploration of these careers, because it's not to be like that person, but like it is dying, but it's also being born again. As technology changes, as, you know, social ideas change, art changes with it, and art cannot change with it unless there is a new influx and generation of artists. And another thing that I kind of wish my parents kind of had a grasp on is the art that you're in teaches you so many life skills that, like, people my age I know don't have, that I have in spades because I grew up needing them early. Discipline, time management, health, like taking care of your body, like healthy food options, having a good workout routine, like just taking care of your body, you know, being able to set healthy boundaries, you know, like professionalism, kindness, a stellar work ethic that I do not know 20-somethings. I do not know a single 20-something that has a better work ethic than a 20-something in the arts, like fighting for a professional career. We have the best work ethic on campus. But yeah, like there's so many avenues that, like, being in this field will teach you, and they will teach it to you young. Your child probably already has all of these things in spades going into college, and as they enter the workforce, as they go into their college career, they've got it. You know, being in the arts matures you very quickly. You are very quickly grown up, and you are very quickly matured, and for better or for worse, when you're on your own, you're gonna be able to ease into that more. There's no fear of being on our own because we've always been on our own. It's been, you know, you have to grow up really fast to do this. And all this to say, I'm doing it, your child's gonna do it, and it's not gonna be easy, and it's not gonna be a straight and narrow path. It's gonna meander, and there's gonna be hills and valleys and twists and turns and mountains and, you know, plummets. There's gonna be like peaks and valleys and highs and lows and like big dips and big climbs, and it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be alive and fulfilling and energetic and passionate and fiery, and it's gonna be everything because they will make it everything. I am fully gonna speak for your child. All your child wants is your support. And even if it's hard for you to still grasp, because I totally get it. Like, it took being removed from the tension of all those arguments when I was in high school. But I'm now able to realize why my parents couldn't really grasp it as well. I mean, like, my father is a first-generation college student. He, you know, my whole family works traditional, like, 9-to-5 jobs. My twin is going to be a nurse. My older sister's a data scientist. You know, like, all they know is the 9-to-5. That's all they know is the 9-to-5 in the family and the white picket fence. And it can be hard to completely upheal that, not really belief system, but just, like, view. You know, it's so different. But it's so different in the way that I can't, like, it's hard for me to understand where you're coming from when, like, you want to sit and work a 9-to-5. Not that that's, like, the end of the world, but, like, it's just kind of a different perspective. And I think that's a very hard perspective to switch, and I now understand that. But parents, if you're listening, start early. Start early. Start trying to to see your child's perspective on it, see their hard work, see their drive, see their passion. You don't do this without passion. No one goes and gets their BFA hating what they do. They do it because there's nothing else. Not that there's nothing else for them, but there's nothing else that makes them feel like themselves more than the art that they do. And I promise you, all your child wants is your support and your understanding. And even if it's not a perfect understanding, even if you're not going to jump into the trenches with them, even if it's not it's not a career that you also had, you know, there are students here whose parents own studios or whose parents were actors or whatever, and now they're here. Even if it's not your career, if it's not where your heart lies, having that trust in your child is everything. And all I wish for like high school, middle school Taylor is I just wish that my parents had that trust in me. I wish that my parents had that trust in my vision, in my passion, in my work ethic, in my drive, in my dedication. All your child wants from you is for you to trust them, because they're not doing this to be vindictive or different or rebellious. Like I said, like they're doing it for themselves, and they're doing it for the world around them to make it a better place. They're doing it for who they were as a child. They're doing it for who they'll be at 95 years old. They're using the shot at life that they have to do everything they've ever dreamed of. And as a parent, from a BFA student, the thing that I think would really change my world is having that like unrelenting trust from my parents. Like, we know that it's not going to be easy or a straight line or make sense all the time, but we trust that you're going to work hard, and we trust that your passion will drive you, and we trust that you have skills and you're kind and you're talented, and you know, we trust that you got yourself. You know, and it's, I mean, to put it into perspective, it's the same way. You know, my parents have to trust my twin that she'll do all the proper steps to get into nursing school, that she'll do all the proper things to, you know, prepare herself for her professional career. And it's just a little harder to grasp that trust in an arts career if you don't really know it. And all your child wants is that trust from you. And just trust them. Trust them that they know what they're doing. Trust them that their heart's going to lead them, because it will. Your heart knows. If you're anything like any of the BFA students that I've ever met, we are such like vibey, feely, energy, heart people. And we are listening to that heart. And what our heart tells us is right. What our soul tells us is right. And some people decide to lead with the mind, we lead with the heart, and we kind of see the world through our heart's eye, if that makes any sense. And just having the trust that it's gonna be hard, but that kid's got it. Like, here's looking at you, kid. Like, as stupid and cliche as it is, sometimes all you need to hear is, here's looking at you, kid. That's all you need. And I have full faith in your child that they're gonna make it happen for themselves. I just think that, I hope this episode was kind of like an opener. There's so many career paths that aren't just like, I'm gonna be on Broadway. You know, there's so many career paths where their talent and their drive and their love for the arts can help people around them and help themselves and make them money. And there's so many things and so many skills. And even going to college, they're gonna learn so many skills and so many other things they didn't even know they were interested in that they could add to their toolkit to make them more marketable, to get bigger careers in the field. They got it. You just gotta let them cook. Like, no, not to but you just have to let them cook. They have the ingredients. They have the recipe. You just gotta let them cook. And it's gonna be great. You have to let them cook. And it's gonna be tasty, and it's gonna be, you know, it's a brand new recipe. Is it going to be burnt a few times? Are they going to get cut on the knives? Are ingredients gonna go bad? Yeah, but you try again. You bandage up the cuts, and you get new ingredients, and you put out the oven fires, and you prepare a little bit better each time. And sooner or later, you're gonna have like a Michelin star meal in front of you. You're gonna be doing the thing. So just let them cook. Let them cook. What a silly way to end this episode, but thank you so much for coming along on this episode with me. Again, you can follow the journey at BFA Baby Podcast or Tata's Ballet on Instagram. Thank you, parents, for coming and listening, and students, if you're listening on your own, feel free to share this with your parents or just take it to heart. I will gas you up. I'll be like your cool aunt. I'll gas you up if you need some parental or like adult hyping. If you need like an adult to hype you up, I'll do it. I'll be your stand-in like cool hype aunt. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. I hope that this inspired you to kind of open your eyes to what you can do with your degree in the world beyond just like, I'm gonna be on stage. There's so many possibilities, and I mean, you could go down 1,000,001 rabbit holes online of things you can do with your dance degree, things you can do with your theater degree, with your music degree. You can always be a DJ, I guess, is what we're learning. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Married in a Kiss. Mwah.